The command deck of the Voxian hive ship was a cathedral of chitin and soft, pulsating light. The Queen stood at its heart, her forearms clasped before her multifaceted eyes observing the star map. It was a depiction of slow, inexorable death. The violet bloom of the Voxian homeworld was dimmed under a creeping gray pallor, the genetic silence. It had fallen upon her people a generation ago, a creeping sterility that no hive mind collective, no gene splicing, no technology could reverse. Birth rates had plummeted. The last brood had been pitifully small and weak. The song of the hive was becoming a dirge. Her chief biologist, his carapace dull with strain, approached. "My queen, the results from the last potential donor species are conclusive. Incompatible. The genetic architecture collapses upon attempted fusion. The silence, it is absolute. The queen did not move. There are no more candidate species within the relevant biosphere. Our time is measured in revolutions of a dying world." A younger scout, her antennae twitching with a faint, desperate hope, stepped forward. "There is one more. A species from the third planet of a yellow star. Designation: human. Their genetic data was acquired from a derelict observation post in the fringe systems. It is chaotic, unstable, a wild tapestry. Our preliminary models cannot predict an outcome. The compatibility probability is listed as unknown." "Unknown is not zero," the Queen said, her voice a soft hum that vibrated in the bones of her attendants. "Set a course. We have no other vector." The human outpost on Tau Ceti was a gritty, practical place of pressurized domes and roaring air processors. The lead xenobiologist, a man named Leo, was in his lab, puzzling over a strange mineral formation when the alarm sounded. Not attack alerts, but priority diplomatic channels. He was summoned to the command center. The view screen showed the Voxian vessel. It was organic, sleek, like a deep-sea creature forged from obsidian and pearl. It dwarfed the human station. A communication, filtered through translation software, echoed in the chamber. "We are the Voxian. We seek consultation. We bring a proposition of mutual survival. We request your chief biological scientist." That was Leo. He found himself, too. Hours later, in a clean room aboard the human station, facing the alien queen. She was tall, majestic, her form both alien and strangely elegant. He felt the weight of her gaze, not as a threat, but as a profound, weary assessment. She explained the genetic silence. She displayed their genetic maps, their perfect, ordered spirals that now replicated only emptiness. She showed the data they had on human DNA, a frantic, vibrant, seemingly disorganized double helix, riddled with historical echoes, viral insertions, and a rampant diversity she called beautiful noise. "Our genetics are a locked door," the Queen hummed. "Yours is a key of unknown shape. Our models suggest a direct gametic fusion is the only possible bypass to the silence. A merging of code at the most fundamental level. Only mating with a human will rescue the alien queen, and by extension, the Voxian species." Leo sat down hard. The clinical, biological truth of the statement was staggering. This was not a social request. It was a species-level medical procedure, a desperate, last-chance therapy. "You're asking for?" "A donor," Leo said, his voice dry. "We are asking for a participant," the Queen corrected softly. "The process requires a conscious, willing neural link to guide the chaotic integration. Your unique neural plasticity, your individualistic consciousness, is part of the key. It is not a transaction of tissue. It is a bridge of being." The human authorities were divided. Some saw a trap, a biological weapon. Others saw an unprecedented alliance. Leo, the scientist, saw a puzzle of unimaginable complexity and a people fading into darkness. After days of deliberation, under strict protocols and observances, he agreed. The Voxian called it the confluence chamber. It was not a laboratory. It was warm, soft, filled with a gentle amber light. There was no clinical sterility here, but a sense of profound biological purpose. The Queen awaited him, her imposing form relaxed. "There is no precedent," she said. "There will be discomfort. Your consciousness will meet the edge of our hive mind. Your biology will speak to mine. We must both be willing to listen and to change." The process began not as a physical act, but as a deepening link. Neural filaments, delicate as spider silk, extended from the chamber walls, connecting to ports on the Queen's thorax and to a neural lace Leo wore. A tide of awareness, vast and collective, brushed the shores of his individual mind. He felt the whisper of a million Voxian souls, a muted song of fading strength. He felt her singular presence, a lighthouse in that collective sea, burning with determination and sorrow. Then the biological integration initiated. It was not violent, but it was profound. He felt a resonance, as if his very cells were a tuning fork being struck. His chaotic human genetics, a legacy of countless adaptations and struggles, flowed into the perfect locked system of the Voxian Queen. He saw it in his mind's eye, a storm of color and wild pattern crashing against a crystal lattice. The lattice resisted, then began to fracture. But the fracturing was not destruction. It was the shattering of a cage. The Queen gasped, a sound of physical and psychic shock. In the hive mind, across the vastness of space to their dying world, a ripple went out. A new note was sung. A note of raw, untamed potential. Leo held on, anchoring the storm, guiding the chaos not with control, but with acceptance. He showed his genetic memory, not in data, but in feeling. The struggle against plague, the adaptation to new lands, the reckless, glorious mess of human evolution. The silence was not fought. It was overwhelmed. It was filled with a symphony of new possibilities. The link severed gently, hours later. Leo was exhausted, drenched in sweat, his mind quiet but expanded. The Queen stood before him, changed. A new subtle iridescence played under her chitin. Her eyes, when they met his, held not just the weight of her people, but a spark of something fiercely, uniquely new. "It is done," she hummed, and the hum was different. It resonated in Leo's bones not just as sound, but as a faint, answering echo. The template is broken. The path is open. Weeks later, in the heart of the hive ship's nursery, the first new brood sacs formed. They were different, larger, more vibrant. When they opened, the young that emerged were a revelation. They carried the classic Voxian form, but their carapaces shimmered with unexpected hues. Their connection to the hive mind was strong, but sharper, more individually nuanced. And their genetic code, as the chief biologist reported with reverent awe, was a masterpiece of stable hybrid vigor. The silence was gone, replaced by a roar of life. The Queen stood with Leo, observing the young as they tested their limbs, their new minds buzzing with curiosity. The human outpost had granted Leo permanent leave to serve as a liaison. He was no longer just a scientist. He was the confluence. "The bridge. They are beautiful," Leo said. "They are us," the Queen replied. "And they are, in part, you. Your people's gift was not order, but resilience. Not perfection, but the strength to thrive within imperfection. You gave us back our future, not by fixing what was broken, but by helping us build something new upon it." On the view screen, the creeping gray pallor over the Voxian homeworld was beginning to recede. The first ships carrying the new brood were already en route. The song of the hive had changed. It was still a collective chorus, but within it were now distinct, vibrant melodies, echoes of a wild blue planet and the man who had been willing to become a key. The Queen placed one of her graceful hands on Leo's shoulder. The touch was firm, warm, a connection that transcended species and biology. It was the touch of co-authors of a new chapter. "We thought we needed a solution," the Queen hummed softly, her voice for him alone. "But what we needed was a revolution. And you, Leo, were the spark.